I just finished reading the trilogy. I literally flipped through the last page of Death's End a few minutes ago, and I feel gutted. I feel empty. I feel broken and tired, left with nothing. I knew the pages were thinning, and I was getting to the end, but I hadn't realized that I was not mentally prepared to actually get there. And then as I was reading the page to the left and finished it and looked to the right page, and it said Translator's Postscript. And I realized there was no more of it. I had reached the end. The three remaining characters stepped out into the universe, and together with them, I stepped out of the story forever. And my heart is broken now, just as it broke when I flipped the last page of Dune Chapter House. I will never, ever again, in my entire lifetime, be able to authentically experience these books again. That moment of me genuinely experiencing them for the first time is now in the past, sealed off forever and untouchable. It's over for me, and I will never be able to go back. And if you've read these books, you will be familiar with the catastrophic sense of the unstoppable flow of time that this story makes you experience. After reading these books, I have changed. My entire view of the world has changed irreversibly. And it has changed in the sense of, I no longer look at things and perceive them as a given. Things like time, like light, like a star, or a planet, or life, or death. Before reading such a work, you just know of these things, and their single-word concept in your brain is kind of enough. But these works, books like the Three-Body Trilogy, or the 6 Dune books, they make you realize that you're taking for granted something that you should not. You have to take apart the term for each of these things and examine their separate parts, and actually realize their nature and constitution. The books literally make you see things as if you've been blind your entire life. You know, like when a person is close to dying, all these people who say they've had near-death experiences, and during those, they saw things like light tunnels, like time moving slower or faster, like space bending around them. These experiences that people report are not supernatural or anything. They are exactly the thing I mentioned that these books can induce as well. Taking terms and things you'd taken as a given, and suddenly seeing them in a different and more profound way than before, because their constitution is taken apart in front of you, and you're finally able to see their detail. The human brain, in basic terms, works in such a way that it takes in all the information from the outside environment, processes it, or rather translates it, in a way that is digestible for the human mind, because otherwise the human mind would be completely overwhelmed and would not be able to function, meaning the world outside of our bodies is absolutely not like we see it. There's no such thing as colors or transparency. The brain just makes up a picture for us, using light illusions. And time, there's no necessarily such a thing as a time flow. One might argue that concepts such as past and future are delusions of the brain too, and the only thing that exists is the present moment, whatever the hell that would mean. So, in a way, just like colors are an illusion our brain employs, it might be the same with time. This is exactly why when a person dies, and their brain becomes more and more damaged during the dying process, the person starts to experience such quote-unquote anomalies. As the brain breaks and dies, its toying with illusions for the maintenance of the mind starts to fail, and the person suddenly starts seeing objects disappearing or appearing, things bending, lights appearing out of nowhere, and the laws of physics breaking during their so-called near-death experience. As I said, this is not anything supernatural. It's just the brain machinery for outside environment information translation just breaking apart. To say it more poetically, when the brain dies, the curtain of our perceived reality is pulled back, and whatever we thought we knew suddenly isn't the same anymore. And it's the same with me after reading books like the Three-Body Trilogy. I no longer see the universe the same way. I no longer see time the same way, or light, or stars, or planets, or people, or aliens, or anything. It's like my brain's previously perceived reality of the world has been shattered. And not in a bad way. I mean, it definitely is not a pleasant thing. It very much hurts emotionally, because no human being actually likes being forced out of their familiar waters. But stories and books such as this one have made me appreciate the painful and difficult truth more than the pleasant lie and self-delusion. Stories and lessons like these hurt me, but I appreciate the pain, and I would never trade it for anything else. It is this kind of contradiction that defines my life. I choose the painful truth, and I fall in love with it, maybe precisely because it hurts me. It hurting me makes me appreciate it and value it more because I feel the painful element makes it feel more honest. If something feels entirely pleasant and rosy, I neither trust it easily nor enjoy it completely. But when it requires that I make a sacrifice as the price for its truth, and it doesn't feel threatened that I'll reject it because it might cause me pain, then I can perceive and appreciate its honesty. And once I willingly make the sacrifice, and it gives me back its truth as a reward, the feeling of completion of this pact stays imprinted in me forever. I'm not sure how much sense all of that would make to people who hear it, but I just want to leave it out here, sealed and contained as the moment I finished the last book of the trilogy, maybe the greatest thing I will have read in my life. I want to use the internet to seal this precious moment forever, for others as much as for myself. I want to freeze the emotion in time so that maybe, say in 10 or 20 or 50 years from now, if I'm alive and I hear these words again, I will be able to revive in my mind the feeling of when I finished this story, and the sheer and painful honesty of the universe it left me with. I might die tomorrow, or maybe even this evening. Maybe I have mere minutes left, but I will die knowing what I know now, and having traveled by the pages of these books through billions of kilometers and billions of years into the abyss of the cosmos.